Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking your time on a Sunday morning to attend this very important session of about the visa guidance. As you guys all might know, that YPC this year we are doing these sessions in collaboration with all these different alumni. It was nice of King Edward alumni KEMCAANA to join this among the expert panelists. So what we do, I think most of the attendees, you guys already know about the how we conduct these sessions. So I'll introduce briefly about the panelists, although you guys all know the current panelists today. We have Fateh Bhai, Omar Tariq, and Gulresh, so they don't need any introduction, but I'll still go ahead. And what we'll do is, I'll give the mic to each and every panelist first. So we'll start with Fateh Bhai, and then he can talk about briefly about the visa details and all that. Then we can go on to the next panelist. And at the end, so we'll talk about 15 minutes, 10, 15 to 20 minutes. Then, but this we try to keep it more interactive because I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions that you need some answers, and we'll try to give our best shot and give you whatever we know. Uh, you all know we are all physicians. Nobody here is an expert attorney. Nobody is an attorney. So whatever advices we are giving, these are just your advices, what we know of. This is not a legal advice. Nobody here in the panel is an attorney. So if there's anything that needs attention like that, we will ask you to consult an attorney. But we'll try to help out and provide you whatever the best knowledge that we can. The question and answer you can write in the chat, but you can write in raise hands at the when we'll start the question and answer sessions. You just raise hand and we'll unmute you, and then we go from there. So without any delay, further delay, I'll give the mic to Fateh Bhai, Dr. Fateh Shehzad. Please go ahead and let us know whatever you would like to about the visa. Thank you.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you, Dr. Siddiq Khurram. Thank you, Dr. Umar Tariq and Gulrez Ahmed to join this webinar. And I welcome all of you. I see 70 of the participants have already logged in. So we have more capacity. If you want to log in, you ask your friends to log in. So that will be good. So you can ask live questions. As you all know, it's over 700 Pakistani residents have matched this year. Most of them will be requiring J1 visa and some will be requiring H1 visa. We have provided you the guideline for J1 visa as well as H1 visa. So what steps you take? We'll just talk briefly, not in detail, because it's going to be interactive session. For J1, as you know, first step is to get a contact letter from your program. It can be letter, it can be an email. You can use that along with other required document to get your statement of need, which is provided by Ministry of Health. Once you have statement of need, you can upload, actually that's uploaded by the Ministry of Health on the ECFMG portal. Meanwhile, you can work on your CV's ID, CV's application on OSIS. And once you have that, you will, all your documents are uploaded. ECFMG will issue a DS 2019. Although it's a document of the Department of State, but it will be issued to you by ECFMG. ECFMG is going to mail it through regular mail to the TPL or program secretary, and program secretary will mail to you. They are not required to email, but sometimes they do email. So that's good. If they do email, you can use soft copy for interview. While you're waiting for the DS 2019, you can fill your visa application, which is DS 160, and you can even get an appointment after making a payment. Appointment, you can make it somewhere in mid-May so that you have all your paperwork done. If paperwork is not done, you can always change your appointment for visa. Some of you will get visa waiver, visa interview waiver. Those who have a valid B1 or valid J1 within last 48 months, you might qualify for J1 waiver or H1 waiver for visa interview. H1 mostly will be held in Karachi this year. J1 will be both in Karachi and Islamabad. We have collected your data, so we have requested embassy and consulate to reserve interview slots for you all. So you should not have a problem getting visa interviews starting end of this month and May and June. So you should have plenty of slots available for a visa interview. This is the brief. I know you have other questions, so we will definitely answer your questions in detail. Gulrez will answer most of the H1 questions, and the rest we will answer related J1, or converting J1 research to clinical, B1 to clinical J1, J2 to J1. So all those questions we will answer. If we go in detail, it will take all hour in only my conversation. Thank you, Dr. Siddiq Khurram.
Sure, anytime. Thank you, Fateh bhai. Omar, do you want to add anything at this time?
Sure. Thank you, Sadiq bhai. So very quick reminder, all of you put in efforts for years in USMLE prep, in scoring good, and then interview and personal statements, or ye sab kuch, or then you rank order list, and then you match. Sadly, I'll say I've seen it year and year, पिछले 12-13 साल से, there are few of you who don't put in the effort for the visa processing. They don't apply for visa in time. या हमने जो भी request किया था कि सारे form fill करें so that we have your information, so that we send it to embassy. People are still reaching out to me, telling me that they haven't filled out the forms. So I'll say, please, as a last reminder, if you haven't filled out the form, please fill the form so that we have your information and we can forward it to the embassy in a timely fashion. Just a quick reminder, always remember what type of visa you're applying for. जो दो ब्रॉड कैटेगरीज हैं, वो है इमिग्रेंट वीजा, नॉन इमिग्रेंट वीजा, और फिर आपकी डुअल इंटेंट वीजा. सो इमिग्रेंट वीजा आपका आ जाता है जो इमिग्रेशन के लिए आप अप्लाई करते हो. नॉन इमिग्रेंट वीजा इज J1, B1, F1. फिर उसके बाद डुअल इंटेंट, H1 इज डुअल इंटेंट. सो you have to prove your home ties, that they're very strong, and that you will eventually come back when you are going with non-immigrant visa. With immigrant visa, you can show that you have long-term intent to immigrate. And dual intent, you can go both ways. Just know this very basic thing. So that's how you should be practicing your interviews accordingly. Make sure you put in the effort that's needed for interview prep, for visa documents, processes ko follow karo. Listen to everything that all these esteemed panelists have to tell you, so that your visa does not go into administrative processing. It's approved in a timely fashion. Good luck. Thank you.
Perfect, good.
Can I add something just to clarify one item Omar Tariq said about home ties? J1 clinical, because you're going to come work and get paid, so you don't have to have bank statement or other home ties as strong as with B1, B2, and J1 unpaid research. So J1, H1 is relatively easier without proving your home ties. Thank you.
Perfect. Gulrez, would you like to pitch in?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Gulrez. Currently a HEMANG fellow at Medical College of Wisconsin. I'm an H1 beneficiary. I had H1 during my residency and went from there. So I can speak a lot from my own experience. One thing is, H1 is a very unique visa because it's a dual intent visa. It is immigrant, non-immigrant, both. So proving your ties is much, much more like least important at that point for that visa. Process is more driven by the lawyer rather than you yourself. You apply through a lawyer, get a petition approved. I highly recommend that everyone should do premium processing, because the timeline for non-premium process cases is very variable. Nobody knows when it will come or what will happen. If they have to send you an RFE, which is like request for further evidence, they can send it to you at 3 months interval, and then you will be so behind. So I highly recommend. I know it's going to be a hefty investment of $2,500, but it's absolutely worth it for you to make it on time. And of course, you will be earning when you come here, so you can always recoup that cost eventually. But that being said, process is pretty straightforward. The lawyer will give you a list, file their documents, send them documents right away as soon as possible. There is no document that is needed from your from PMDC. Nothing is needed as such. It's just essentially your documents that you have to send them, and the petition is filed. You get a result in 14 days if you premium process, and once you get the results, you can actually get a copy of your I-797, which is like the approval notice, and you have to carry it to the embassy with you physically or submit it for the Dropbox because they scan the barcode. when I was applying, the insistence was to bring the original one, but things have changed now. They are fine with taking a copy as well. Apart from that, I do recommend to kind of like print out that huge bundle that you get from the lawyer, because lawyer will send you like I-129 and then I-9 something form as well. So I usually recommend to print that, because when I went to the embassy for my interview, they literally asked for it and I was like lost. I'm like, what does this form mean? So those are the forms that the lawyer files for you, and they also send you a copy of it. So I do recommend that keep a copy of it. If you're doing the Dropbox, US Travel Docs is most likely going to return it to you as soon as, like, Jerry's will return it to you as soon as you do the drop off. But in case they need it, just go prepared so that you are ready to get in. And that's pretty much it. H1 is not that difficult. One thing is H4, people worry like, what's the process? There is no process for H4. Once your petition is approved, your spouse can automatically apply based on the same petition. There is no other DS 2019 that needs to be generated for H4. So essentially, it's your petition that leads to as the document for your whole family to apply for H4, including your kids.
Okay, great, very brief, comprehensive. Dr. Farooq Malik and Dr. Irfan Mani also joined. They're also in the panelists. So I'm not sure what you guys hear, but I'll just start with a brief intro of Dr. Farooq Malik, and then I'll go on to Dr. Irfan Mani. So Dr. Farooq Malik here, he is at Vanderbilt in Heart Failure and Transplant Center. Dr. Farooq Malik is also current APNA Board of Directors. Dr. Malik, if you'd like to pitch in and add anything.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. I wanted to share a few thoughts. One is the social media that all of you have. I wanted to share with younger colleagues that social media is a white paper on you. So as you prepare for your visa application, I would want you to be careful in what you are publishing on social media. If possible, I would like for you to scrub it from any comments, postings that are not in the wider interest of the United States. It's important to clean up your social media, the postings, also clean up any of the religious links that you would have posted, because that would create an unfavorable review on the white paper. Secondly, in your visa interview, please stay away from the political discussions or religious differences. There is no need to comment on current geopolitical issues, especially Israel-Gaza issues. Try to stay neutral so that your strong political opinions does not influence the views of the visa officer. It's very important to stay neutral and stay apolitical. That's difficult for us, but for the visa process, you would want to appear neutral and should have a very positive overview of the United States, simply because this is a place that you would eventually come up, learn the system, understand the training process. However, unless you have a really significantly impactful understanding of the United States principles, there's no need to comment on US foreign policy or lack thereof. So I'll stop here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. So Dr. Irfan Munir, thank you for joining. Dr. Munir works as a nephrologist at Nephrology Associates of Northern Indiana and Illinois, and he's also adjunct associate professor of medicine at IU School of Medicine. Dr. Munir, if you'd like to pitch in anything, please.
Yeah, thanks, Khurram, for giving me the opportunity. I agree with all the panelists, the comments from Fateh, Umar Tariq, Dr. Malik, and Gulrez. And in the interest of time, no additional comments, and let's hop on to the question and answer session.
Perfect. Yes, we're definitely going to get a lot of questions. So why don't we start with the attendees? Please raise your hand if you have any questions. In the meantime, we'll also go through the chat. Gulrez, if you can please monitor the chat and take questions from chat while I'll take live from the attendees. So everyone you guys have a questions, please raise your hand and we'll unmute you. So we have the first question from Mohammad Raza. Raza, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, I am Dr. Rosa, and I have matched into emergency medicine at Jefferson. अच्छा, अब मैं J1 के लिए जैसे अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, तो अभी नेक्स्ट वीक मेरा निकाह है, तो अभी वाइल अप्लाइंग तो मुझे अब डिपेंडेंट वाला जो पोर्शन है उसको फिल करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि एट दैट टाइम आई डोंट हैव एनी काइंड ऑफ मैरिज रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट, वो जो भी होगा मेरे पास नेक्स्ट वीक या उससे नेक्स्ट वीक होगा। तो अब ऐसी सिचुएशन में मुझे क्या करना है?
जी
I can answer that question. Now, you are not married till you are have it documented, which is nikah, so you cannot put independent because you can't go retroactive in the dates. So either you can wait for a week or 2 weeks till you have nikah nama and date for the nikah or marriage, or you can simply add them later, which is not that difficult. So you're going J1, so they can apply for J2 anytime in the year, next year, after 2 years, whatever time you're here on J1, your dependent can apply. So you don't have to do dependent if you're filling your paperwork now, or you can wait and then do both yours and her, and you can both go together for interview.
Okay, so अगर मतलब if wedding is going to plan in December, so I can apply for her visa in October while sitting in United States, right? So this is the possibility.
Yeah, you said December will be, I guess, Rukhsati. So you have nikah by
Yes.
that time. So you're married. Yes, you can apply in October. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Quick question, Fateh, can he apply right after the nikah?
He can,
Once the
but
nikah is done, right?
I think Rukhsati is in December, so she won't be able to come here. So he wants to apply in
Right.
October. Yeah, that will be fine.
So once the visa is accepted, what's the limit? Is it 30 days or it's more? Visa is accepted for J2.
No, she can come anytime, but she
Anytime,
cannot come.
Okay.
She cannot come 30 days before start date. For her will be no start date. For people who are
Sure.
joining residency, they can come 30 days before they're joining, which can be orientation, which can be their medical exam. Does not have to be July 1st.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a few questions in the chat. Otherwise, again, please raise Nakibullah.
No question in the chat.
No question in the chat. All right. So next is Nakibullah.
There is a Q&A session section. I can ask a few questions from there. Umar Nisar is asking, is getting a waiver better or giving interview in terms of processing time is better? Fateh bhai, what do you have to say on
Yeah,
that?
my personal bias is toward the interview, because when you go for interview, you can get your passport within 3 to 5 days, depending on there is work business days or there's any holidays. With the drop-off service, it can take 3 to 4 weeks. So if you have time, you can do drop-off service. But unfortunately, it's not your choice. It's the embassy will give you a choice whether you can drop off or you can go for interview. So once you fill your DS-160, you submit it, then you will have 2 pages of questions. You have to answer yes or no. All those questions may not apply to you, but whichever question apply to you, you have to answer yes or no. There will be some question about the student, so you don't need to worry about. There'll be other question. So whatever out of 7, 8 questions, if 3 apply to you, and yes, you apply for yes. If they don't apply, you can say no, and then you will given an option to submit your documents. Even after submitting documents, if they want you to come, they will send you an email that you are required to do in-person interview. So getting waiver approval does not mean you will be completely excused from the interview. There's still chances you might have to be required to give interview. So
there's a follow-up question, Fateh bhai, really quick, that if Dr. Hunain is asking that if one accepts a waiver, then do the J2 dependent, will they need to go for an interview? Or the waiver will be extended towards them as well?
The DS-160 is for each individual. And if they have never had any active visa like B1, B2 valid visa, so they will not get waiver. They will only be required in person. So the principal applicant status of interview or waiver will not apply to the dependent.
Great.
But what they can do
we
is
can take the applicant question.
Umar bhai, just a suggestion on that is they can actually go for in-person and keep the spouse together as a group.
Thank
All
you.
right, next question we'll ask from the audience. Nakibullah, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and for arranging this webinar. I have a question. Recently, I got match and will be sponsored for J1. So my question is that I have a valid B1, B2 as well. So what will be the advantage of a waiver and non-waiver? I don't know the difference between these. Thank you.
The only advantage of waiver is that you don't have to travel, you don't have to stay in Islamabad or Karachi, you just stay home. Drop off service, of course, you will have to, or somebody on your behalf will have to drop off papers. So that will be on certain centers. It's not, you might get option for mail, but mostly it's a drop off at drop off locations. So that's the only difference is that in person you have to travel, go on that day, but be in front of the visa officer. Sometimes we get nervous and that can cause problems. So if you're not going, you don't have to worry about that part. But waiver or dropping off document takes longer time to get it done, 3 to 4 weeks.
Right. So next we'll take from Chad.
1 second, Siddiq bhai. Fateh bhai, can't you make a request for them to expedite, like talk to somebody in embassy and see if they can expedite like the process for Dropbox for J1s and H1s, like especially during the next few months?
Yeah, I've requested that, and they promise to honor if they have enough staff and everything else. They usually will do within 2 weeks, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah,
Depending on the
because
applicants and
right now people are getting most of their passports in the like 4 or 5 day window. One problem with H1 is unfortunately it's not being processed in Islamabad right now. So
Yes,
if somebody has to give interview, they'll have to travel to Karachi to get it done. Some might not have time, some might have time, so they might pursue Dropbox. So it will be a little zyati with them. That's why I was saying.
yeah, they promise that within they will try to do it 1 to 2 weeks, but 4 weeks is maximum. They understand that they have to start in mid-June. They're very well aware of the whole process. Sometimes I feel like they know more than us about the J1 and the H1 and their medical requirement and residency requirement. They really are very well educated. I was very impressed.
Our next question we'll take from the QA chat. Could you please speak to change of status from J1 research to H1B visa while staying in the US? And how does this process differ from applying a H1 while in home country?
I will let Gulrez answer that.
It's all about timeline. So change of status takes time within the US, and the timelines are a little unpredictable. It's much more predictable back home. Like what happens is you file a petition, and then for example, you are in Pakistan right now. So you file for your I-797, you get your petition, you go to the embassy. When you enter the US, your visa has already changed. Like it's now H1B. But when you are B1, B2 here, you're changing the visa here. Um, you have to first get the petition, then file for change of status. That change of status can take anywhere between few weeks to 3 months. And that's something that can be a little problematic. People have done it, and luckily it has worked out for people as well, especially from J1. Um, but if you see any signs that things are not working out, you can actually just leave, get it done in Pakistan, and then come back again if needed. So it's not that if you're changing your status within the US, it's going to cause a problem. It's not a legal issue per se. So you can try it, but it's highly recommended to get it stamped in case you have to travel. That first H1B will give you at least a year that you can travel safely back home and come back again to Pakistan.
So when I was back in my day, if I recall correctly, it was told that first time H1B visa need to be stamped from the home country. So I don't know if that has changed recently, if guys are aware. I was clearly told by multiple attorneys that you cannot change your status the first time H1 while you are in the US. So you have to go back to your home country of origin and get your visa, H1 visa from your home country. But that was 10 years ago. So I don't know if that has changed or not.
Now your petition can be approved. You can work. Of course, it will not be stamped. They are stamping Canadian and some Indian H1 in US, not for Pakistan and other national right now. But it can be changed and the applicants can work. And
Yes.
their spouse can still get H4 even if they don't have a stamped visa. But of course, as Gulrez said, that they can't travel and come back without stamping their visa in Pakistan. So the best option is getting done in Pakistan unless there is a serious issue. Like I know a few of the girls are pregnant, they can travel, so they don't have a choice but to do that way. But I will highly recommend if it's relatively cheaper and time is really short if you get it done in Pakistan.
I
Sadiq
think
bhai,
you
go ahead.
change the status when you file the change of status while in US, you are legally okay to
Yes.
stay in the
Yes.
up
Yes.
until you get the approval notice, but you are legally you can stay, and I've been through it myself also. So you may not have get paid or something, but legally you'll be fine. Anyway.
Yeah. You don't get
Right.
out of status as soon as you file for the change of category.
Okay. All right, we'll move
So
on.
I wanted to quickly add something, Sadiq bhai, on this topic that people typically get confused between the term status and visa. Visa is needed to enter into the country. Status is how you are present inside the country. So for example, when you get a B1, B2 valid for 5 years, that's a visa. But then you come inside the country, you get a stamp of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. That's your status for 1, 3, 6 months. So same thing, when you apply for change of status. So change of status is what you're applying for. You're not applying for change of visa. You still need to go back to Pakistan to get a visa. And visa is what you need to enter in the country. Status is what you need to stay in the country. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll take another question from Noor Imran.
And Siddiq bhai, just to follow up on it, they can lawyer milega aapko H1B mein. You can always talk to the lawyer about that process. They will be able to tell you exactly what needs to be done. मैंने change of status नहीं किया था, तो मेरा personal experience नहीं है. And usually जहाँ तक अभी तक मैंने candidates support किए, वो they were J1 that changed. H1 मुझे नहीं याद किसी ने H1 change किया within US.
Thank you. All right, Noor Imran, please go ahead and ask your question.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you for this session. I've bashed at Michigan State University, and my question is, I have to apply for a letter of good standing to apply for the state license. However, my provisional license for my house job has expired. I have not done my house job. So do I apply for an extension of the provisional license? Because on the online PMC portal, there is no option for renewal of your provisional license.
I don't have an answer to this question because it's a licensing issue. You will have to talk to your board here in Michigan. They might accept your expired or lapsed PMDC license because you can't renew it. It's already over if you did not do house job. If you did house job, then you can definitely go for renewal. So they most likely will accept your old or expired license. PMDC will not issue that part. I know they will not issue you an extension. They might send a letter that this is the license, but it is not valid at this time. And this is one thing I'm sure we all know, but you can convey a message to the students and people who are doing their USMLE path that they should do house job. That's very, very important.
So I think I have had a few classmates who renewed their provincial licenses. So it is done through your medical school. I would just talk to that focal person who files our provisional licenses and see what is the procedure for it. Because I did have some classmates who did not do their house jobs and they went through the same thing. I think there is a way, but it is done by your medical school, not by yourself.
Yeah, I would like to add, I didn't do a house job and I went to the registrar office in King and he was able to issue me those letters. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from Shehbaz Nasir. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. My question is for the J1 renewal process, because my program is asking me to pick up the vacation weeks now at the start of the training because it will not alter later on. So my question is which weeks I should pick up, and it is 4 weeks vacation, but it will come in 2 weeks form. So it would be enough to have the 2 weeks for the renewal process, and which months I should pick up? It's April, June, or May?
So you will get your new DS 2019 in March. So anything after March, that will be April, May, is very safe to go for renewal if you need to travel. Because even if your visa does go into AP, you can ask them to return your passport. You can come back and join your residency. It depends on at that time what will be the time limit. For most of the time you will get waiver for interview. So you should keep in mind that it might take a little bit longer time, but hopefully 2 weeks should be good enough. So April, May will be the best time.
All right, guys, you'll have a better chance of getting your question answered if you just ask live. Otherwise, you'll have to go through the chat. So I'll go through the chat now. The next question I have is, I'll be applying for J1 visa if I plan on coming to Pakistan in April of 2025. Should I book an appointment in May so that I do not have to undergo J1 re-stamping?
He can't book appointment now because he will need a new DS 2019 for next year.
Thank you. Next question. I've uploaded the documents on ECFMG. I'm awaiting my SON upload by OMH. When can I start filing out DS 160 and book an appointment?
Filing. Gulrez, you want to say something?
So you need your service ID for filling up the DS-160. As soon as you have that, you can start working on it.
You all can fill if you want to fill. You can get an appointment for J1, which you should be able to get in May, but you cannot submit without CV's ID. And of course, at that time, you will know that whether you get interview or you get waiver. If you had active visa, you might get waiver, but you can always cancel if you get appointment. If you get appointment, you will already have an appointment at this time. But there's no need to rush. You all will get appointment in May and June, even in end of April. So no need to rush for the appointment. Start working on your DS 160. And as Farooq Malik said about the social media, it's very important. One of the doctor who's a cardiologist now, his visa was on hold because one of his DP picture had two Kalashnikov in his hands. So make sure your pictures are not objectionable. You do not have any religious comments, any anti-Semitic comments, anti-American comments, or pro any terrorist organization, which might not be terrorist for us, but they are on the list of US. So we have to be very, very careful. They do have access, even if you don't provide them your password, they still have access to your even WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is not encrypted for them.
All right, we'll move on to next question from Maria Maksood. Dr. Shahzad said we can fill out our DS 160 as of now and book an interview date. Can we do that while our J1 application is pending review and are waiting for an approval and subsequent issuance of DS 2019?
I think we covered that field. You can work on your DS 160. You can't submit till you have CV's ID. If you have that, you can submit. You can pay the fee before submitting. You can get an appointment, but you can't submit the DS 160 till you get CV's ID.
Okay. There was next question. So a few of the friends together, they received B1, B2 rejection during August and September based on not having done house job. I'm wondering if still not having done house job will create trouble for our subsequent J1 application, or if there is any additional questioning we should be prepared for.
For B1, B2, and J1 research unpaid, you really need to have very strong ties. And one of the strong ties is your ability to work in Pakistan. If you don't have a license, that means you can't work in Pakistan. So that really make your case very weak. For J1 and H1, you really don't need that strong ties because they know you're coming here to work and get paid. So not having house job will not have any negative impact on your J1 and H1. Rejection of B1, B2, or any other previous J1 research will not have any negative impact on your clinical J1 and H1.
Okay. The culture that we discourage is posting anonymously on our forums, and this is a pretty close session, limited number of participants. I'm not sure what is there to hide, so I will not address any anonymous questions if unless if there's some sensitive information that we can share. So again, if you can raise your hand if you want to take questions live. Next question I'll go to is from C. Hashim. If one apply H1 visa for himself, or if one apply with dependent, does applying with dependent affects the visa processing, or there is no issue? I think there's no issue with the
No effect. Yeah, no effect.
Yeah,
in
both
fact,
applications are reviewed separately.
yeah, if you have a dependent, it's better to apply together. If we
Yes.
qualify for waiver, can we still opt for physical interview to save time?
No.
Okay. Next question is, my program just sent us contract yesterday and my orientation starts June 17th. Realistically speaking, can I get J1 before that? Yes.
Most likely you will, but again, remember, not everybody will have their interview by June 17. Most of, I will say 95% most likely will be finishing by that time. There will be still, especially H1, because there's more paperwork for H1, you might be delayed. Just remember one thing, that your orientation, your medical exam, although they say it's compulsory, it's must you have it, but it's really not. Your job starts from July 1st. And even after July 1st, 6 weeks, they give you grace period, sometime 3 months. So don't get nervous if you're not able to come here by July 1st or to attend your orientation or to have your medical exam done. It is very good if you can, but it's not something that you need to be very, very worried about if you can't make there by orientation date or even July 1st.
Okay, thank you. Until I scroll down for next question.
मैं ना सिद्दीक भाई वो किसी ने रिक्वेस्ट की है कि स्टेप्स रिपीट कर दें H1 के H1 is straightforward. You send your documents to the lawyer. They'll file your I-290, which is your petition for immigrant worker, and they will also file your I-907, which is the form for your premium processing. And this will ensure that the process is done within 14 days of filing, the day that USCIS gets your application, and you get your petition mailed to your lawyer, and then lawyer will send the petition to you physically by FedEx. And then FedEx probably takes around 5 to 6 days to get it to you in Pakistan. You can actually request a copy and start booking your appointments and stuff if you're going for in-person, and you can actually use a copy of your petition as well too. It works in-person. I'm not sure about the Dropbox. Dropbox is new to me, so Dropbox, I'm not sure if the copy works in the Dropbox or not. But it definitely works when you go for an in-person appointment. And once you're done, that's pretty much it. H4s automatically are included on the I-797 as long as you can show the relevant documents like your NICANAMA, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, great, thanks. So next question is from Asim Raja. If J1 is in process or approved, can I withdraw and apply for H1? I'm not a match applicant, rather going for a fellowship at a center who are offering J1, and another hospital might offer me H1 if I get that fellowship couple of months later on. I am not sure if I understand this question. Wasim, do you mind coming on the mic and then explain what exactly you want to ask? Okay, Wasim Raja.
Sadiq, I think what he wants is that if I get H1 now, can I get H1 fellowship, which is less likely. Most of the fellowship program, they don't offer H1, so you have to go back to J1. So those who intend to do H1, they might have difficulty, but sometimes you're lucky like Gulrez, he got H1 on his fellowship too. So some fellowship programs are not willing to give H1. So that's your luck. It's no fast and hard rule.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. All right. Then I have two more questions. How do we apply for the interview waiver?
You don't apply for interview waiver. When you submit DS-160, you will have a set of questions. There are two pages. You answer honestly to the best of your interest. Don't try to see if I will get or if I'll not. Just be honest and to the best of your knowledge, answer those questions, and you will get an option to get a waiver or in person. So it's not your choice. It will be the system that will allow you one way or the other.
Next is when can we start filling out DS-160?
Anytime.
Okay. List of documents needed for visa. I think you can join the WhatsApp groups. I'm sure Fateh Bhai have shared that document many times.
Yes.
So, is a state license a must requirement for applying for H-1B visa? It is, yes. Right?
Some states,
Yes.
some states.
Yeah.
New York gives you a letter.
And this is something that the program will tell you already. If you need a license, they will apply for the license right
Yes.
away.
Your program will request you to file for a license if it is required in that state.
Okay. Next question from Faryal Subhani is for visa interview. Do we need SEVIS, service registration proof? I just have the proof of service fee payment. Is there any other registration proof or payment proof enough for the interview?
No, they do have information, but if you have a receipt, your ID is your proof because you don't get your ID till you pay it. So that is your proof. If you have ID, that means you have paid for it. Same is like if you pay for your visa interview fees in Allied Bank. So getting an appointment is your proof. You don't need to take the receipt with you.
All right. Next question is from Varsha Kumari. I've merged into a new program. My process haven't started yet. I talked to the program coordinator. She told me it will take a while. I'm concerned about doing everything before the July 1st. Where did it go? I lost the question. How has it worked in the past for new programs?
So if they don't have a contract, they can just send an email to the applicant that this person is accepted to start residency from this date to this date. This is stipend, so they can start at least their SON process. Gulrez, you want to add?
So I would say, like, as Fateh Bhai already pointed out, everyone has their own pace. All program coordinators have their own style. Because some program coordinators are actually just not for your own program, they are also covering other programs as well. So just don't be too annoying. As Fateh Bhai pointed out, you can actually just ask for an email which says that you will be working here from XYZ date to XYZ date. Ministry of Health has been very lenient with this process. This did not used to be the case before, but Dr. Fateh Shahzad's effort has kind of yielded this process to be much easier. So you can use that email to kind of get your SON done. But then again, there is a lot of part that your program coordinator needs to approve for the CVS process to be completed. So just work with them as much as you can. Some of you guys might join late. I am somebody who joined late. I never made it to my orientation. I went in after enjoying Pakistani Aam for a week because I was missing them so much. So I joined my residency a week late, but I graduated on time. It happens. Life happens. Things happens. Paperwork will be delayed. But everyone has their own style. Everyone has their own timeline. Please don't be too pushy and make yourself. Remember, your first impression is your last impression, and for program coordinator is a big make and break for you for your residency. So just work with them as much as you can and understand that they are new as well and they're trying to learn the process.
Fine, perfect. I think somebody is raised hand, Jitesh or someone. Okay, move on up until we get this again. So, okay, Jitesh, go ahead. I'll ask you a question.
Hello, this is Kampesh, not Jagdish. Actually, I was not able to attend from my laptop, so I use my brother's laptop. So
no
we were told that New York people don't need state license, and Gulrez Bhai just mentioned New York gives you a letter. So I'm not sure. We did not apply for that letter. How we apply and where should we apply?
Your program coordinator will guide you because what happens is there is a process where you start. I never had a New York license myself, but I know you will not be having your license to apply for your H-1B. New York is one state. I think there are a few more states that do it, but your program coordinator will be able to tell you. You send a request, and the New York medical board sends you a letter which states that you will get your license eventually, and we are processing it and we are doing our work, and that's acceptable because that's how New York functions.
Next is from Preet. Everyone, I've never have been to the US and was fortunate enough to get matched without USC. Congratulations, this is great. Is there any additional questioning I should expect during the J1 interview? Since I know previous visits, USC is common topic of the questioning during the interview.
J1 visa interview is very simple. They will be asking, good morning, how are you doing? What have you been doing? Simple, like social questions. And then they will ask about your program, your salary, and most likely will say, good luck, you're approved. So this is a very simple question. You should know where you're going, when you plan to go roughly, and if you have planned to stay there, you just answer simple question that you have apartment or you will get apartment or you'll stay with a friend or you are going to whatever arrangement you have made, hotel, or you can simply say I've made no arrangements. That's okay too. Just be yourself. That's main thing, that you need to be yourself. A question only they will ask about your program. Sometimes they ask what you want to do in future. If you have planned for fellowship, absolutely you can tell. Just one thing I will say, that from very beginning, don't start saying that I plan to go get married there. I plan to go and do start job. Don't say those two things, because non-immigrant intent visa, you give the officer enough opportunity or enough material to give you visa without any hesitation. Although J1 is really not rejected, only 1 or 2 cases last year. It is supposed to be approved unless you do a mistake, which is one thing saying that I'm going to go get married next month or next year, which is showing immigrant intent, or I plan to work there. If they say, what you want to do is fellowship, yes. What you want to finishing, I'm required to come back and stay 2 years in my home country. That's what I plan to do. Just say, I will follow the rules, whatever the rule required, I will do that. Those are the better answers. If any one of your family member have applied for immigration and your petition is still alive, you might have a problem with J1 because you have already shown immigration intent. So one girl had a problem last year. She had to get H1. So that is one thing you have need to concern about, that if your petition is already live, either take it back before you go for J1, or just see your luck, what they say. If they refuse you J1, then you can request your program to give you H1, unless you can talk to them now and they're willing to do H1. That will be good option too.
Thank you. Next question is from Deepak Kumar. I applied for SON before applying for J1. So Ministry from Pakistan sent my SON to ECFMG via email on 6th March. But today I received deficiency email from ECFMG that my application is lacking SON, and Ministry from Pakistan should send directly in a sealed envelope. What should I do for this?
It's very confusing. He applied for H1 and then J1, or what is he doing?
They applied for SON before applying for J1. Ministry of Pakistan sent SON to ECFMG via email on 6th March. But today he received the deficiency email from ECFMG that his application is lacking SON, and Ministry from Pakistan should send directly in a sealed envelope. What should I do for this?
He can request the Ministry of Health to re-upload with the email, forward the email and request that they have not received it. So they will re-upload. If they want to be sent by sealed envelope, they usually don't do it. Then they might mail it to him, and then he can mail that sealed envelope in another envelope to the ECFMG. But I think if they re-upload, that should be good enough.
I think he's asking they are not okay with the email, and they're asking them to send for the Ministry of Pakistan to send it in a sealed envelope. So in that case, I guess you just have to ask them if they can do that.
That's very unusual case, because there are a lot of other applicants who have been accepted with the upload. So maybe he needs to call the ECFMG, said that other applicants, this is the routine practice with Ministry of Health from Pakistan, they upload on your portal. So that's very unusual request.
Okay. Next question from Nawan Shafiq about H1. What are the chances of H1B rejection and going into processing? And if it does, can we file petition of mandamus? And what are the chances after petition for the approval? So I guess chances of rejection H1 में नहीं होते, लेकिन yes, processing there are chances, and I was among one of them, and I went for the processing and took more than 6 months. I lost my residency, and then just Last week, there was another candidate who was in PGY4, and unfortunately, his visa got stuck. And then, long story short, that it happens, it is extremely rare. Is there a percentage? I don't think we know a percentage, but very rare. But it does happen, and after a certain time, you can file for mandamus. Gulresh, what is the timeline for mandamus? How for
6
long?
months.
6 months. And so, can you explain a little bit about mandamus, Fateh Bhai or Gulresh?
This is a writ that you have a right to be at your job or with your spouse, if there is a spouse. So the person will have to hire an attorney who deals with these writs. Not every immigration attorney does that. There are only few in Washington and New York that those firms deal with that. And while the process is your writ is in the process, your AP usually gets approved. The Department of State don't want to go in litigation unless there is some strong reason, which can be, if it goes into trial, I've not seen anybody winning because then the Department of State has very strong evidence against that person about the national security. So if you apply for writ, then most likely your case will be approved during the process. But if it goes to trial, that's not a good sign.
But at least you can get the answer, right? I mean,
Yes.
yes, because the problem is you're kind of hanging in between. You don't know what you're going to do, so at least you can get the answer.
Yes.
But Siddiq, it's thousands of dollar worth investment. So
All right, can you enlist the documents of a student going to electives? We cannot enlist the documents. I think you can check as a common sense question. I'm sure as a student, what would you have? Just there's not going to be much documents from you, I guess. I wanted to ask one thing: if it's necessary to be in clinical practice while applying for B1, B2, or one can apply if she is not working for past years. So I think the ties are very important to have the strong ties. And one of the reason they ask you, one of the very common rejection reason is not enough or strong ties. And if you have a job and if you are working in Pakistan, that is considered a strong tie, right? If anyone wants to add anything to it.
Yes, Deep bhai, I want to quickly add this कि आपकी property हो सकती है, आप अगर job कर रहे हो तो job letter हो सकता है कि you're taking time off, you have car, property, आप कुछ भी show करो कि that proves that you will eventually come back. You're not going to settle permanently in America and overstay. So, like I said, job letter, your bank statement that shows that you have not closed the bank, you're taking time off and you have your car in your name and you haven't sold any property. आपके plot अगर आपके नाम पे है, घर कोई आपके नाम पे है, but you can use any of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For Jay,
I want to add something in that too. Arsan here. So for medical students who are still part of the medical college, I used to do a line आप अपने college से लिखवा सकते हैं letter के अंदर कि this person will not be granted medical degree if not returned back, or to have to do a final prof exam in order to get the medical degree. So I don't know how helped it, but it's something that you can do as well.
Being a medical
I did that as
student
well.
being a medical student is a good tie because the officer knows that if you're in 4th year, you're going to come back and finish your medical degree. So usually the usually the elective B1 is not rejected. Even if you don't have a job, of course, you're not going to have a job or you might not have any other ties. Just being in medical school is a good tie.
Yeah, make sure during an interview you emphasize on the fact that I'm a medical student, I have to come back. I'm a house job, I'm an intern, I have to come back. I cannot complete my internship, I cannot complete my diploma. So, just as long as you're emphasizing that you will eventually come back, your visa for observership electives is more likely to get accepted. Thank you.
Thanks. So next is for J1 interview kind of guide, if we have to express our intent to come back to Pakistan once residency ends. Yeah, it's a non-immigrant visa, so technically you kind of have to come back, right?
Yes, we talked about that. They might ask you what you are going to do. So if you plan to do fellowship, you can say, I want to do fellowship in cardiology. Otherwise, you simply say that by rule, I'm required to have 2 years in home country, so I will follow the law. Simple answer is I will follow the law. Whatever requirement is by law, I will follow that.
Thank you.
To simplify it, I will say what not to say, Sadiq. You shouldn't say, I plan on staying in US for next 25 years. You should not say that. You can say, I will think about the future. You can say, I plan on coming back and settling in Pakistan forever. You can say, I will do the home country waiver, but you should not say that I plan on settling in US forever, because technically this is a non-immigrant visa like B1, B2. So home ties are important, and you have to show that eventually you're going to come back.
And can we submit DS 160 and take the visa interview date before H1B petition approval?
I think they will need a petition number and petition, so you can't submit, and you can get a date. But again, if you go for document or you go for waiver, then that date will be wasted. So just wait. If you want to get a date, that's okay. After paying fee, you can get a date, but you cannot submit DS 160 without petition number, petition approval.
I think Aisha Irfan, you're typing Omar already, so I'll let you do that, and then I'll take the next question is from Lillian Masood. I'm looking for USC in competitive fields. I also have applied for B1, B2 for electives. Which one should I apply for B1, B2? I'm trying to. I also have to apply for B1, B2 visa for elective. Which one should I apply for, B1 or B2? It's B1, B2 combined.
Combined, usually for doctors, B1, it's not a player, it's a work visit related. So actually it's both B1, B2, but specifically if you want to know, it's B1.
And then also asking about that, how much time does it take for the interview for the visa, and do I need the elective letter for B1, B2? Some people say that don't mention elective, they most of the time reject you. Also from social media accounts or private still have access to them. So I think it's good to have, you can apply B1, B2 for electives, right, Fateh bhai? I mean,
yes.
Yes.
And it's always good to have a letter to support that you have been accepted, especially for the electives. I mean, you cannot do elective until you don't have an elective, right? So you're applying. It's sometimes I think it's just hit or miss. Sometimes, I mean, when the policy is good, they just issue visa to literally everyone. But then most of the time they will need a proof, and you should have a letter ideally.
Gee, Sadiq, what I've seen is that almost I haven't heard anybody getting approved for B1, B2 just from the intent of applying for electives. You need to show somehow that you have an approval for an observership, for an elective externship at any place. And one thing I want to clarify, there is a lot of misconception that if you have a letter from a clinic or a university, or one is better than the other. I have seen there. We did a survey as well, survey poll. There is no difference. As long as you have an acceptance, it could be from a clinic, it could be from Hopkins, it could be from anywhere. As long as there is one letter that says that you have been accepted for this position, you can use that, and there is no impact as compared to a university letter. That brings me to a question for you, Sadiq. There are applicants who have asked this question that we don't, APNA does not issue a letter when we approve them for. So how do we tackle this? That there are these students, they have observers. Let's say there's somebody who only has observership via this APNA observership program, and now we're not offering them a letter, so they can't even technically use our observership to apply for a visa. So how are they supposed to navigate this process?
So on an average now, tomorrow I'm gonna open the application for next cycle of observership, and we'll get about 150 applicants in like an hour. I can guarantee you that. And in a year, we get about 400 to 500 applications. Now, if we issue visa to 400 and 500 applications, then we can't even track them. 30 to 40% of those students, they don't show up, they don't reply, they don't do anything to that. We cannot let anyone abuse this, unfortunately, and there's no way around it. This is not 100%, this is not the best system, but this is the best we can do. We can give you the observership, but we cannot just provide any visa letter, because we have seen, unfortunately, there's been misused many times. Many of the preceptor, they arrange the rotations, and then the kids, they don't show up. They use the letter from someone, and they don't show up to that observerships, and there's no way for us to track those 500 plus students. And unfortunately, we just can't give the visa letters. So I don't have a better answer to this, but that's the best we can do, unfortunately. Yeah. All right, so next one, we'll just take two last questions. It's already 1:05. So let's see, valid B1, B2. I have a valid B1, B2, but traveled to US for last 4 years. Since there was COVID and CS exam was cancelled, so I had no reason to will it negatively impact the G1 visa acceptance. My B1, B2 will expire in 2025. I don't think so.
No, it will not affect any negatively or positively. So these two different visa categories. So he does not need to worry about.
We've already taken questions from Wasim Raja, so we'll give other people also a chance. So Mahad Khan, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. I am Mahad, and I recently matched into internal medicine. Thank you so much for this session. So I'm applying for a J1 visa, and while filling post-match Apna form, there was a question in which we had to choose the embassy. So at that time, I opted for Karachi embassy, but now I think I may have to go to Islamabad. And I heard that those lists are shared with the embassy. So is there a need to notify Apna about it?
No, it was just a number. So we usually give a higher number of the slots we need. So you should be okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right, and next one is when applying for Dropbox, either H1 or J1, we have to submit a CV. Can we mention our observerships on it if we did those on J1 research, or should we just say shadowing or not mention it all? Because observerships per se are not legal on J1 research.
Still, if they were done on B1, B2, they can mention that. So the person was on J1 doing research and then did observership. So just mention the research part.
All right. Next one. All right. We mentioned documents needed to be dispersed with research. I went to observerships in 2021 and told the CBP officer that I'm here for observership. He gave me B2 status instead of B1. Will that create problem?
No problem.
Right. I have my vacations in February 2025, and I would be traveling to Pakistan during those days. Would it be possible to renew J1 at that time?
Less likely because next year contract and DS 2019 will not be available at that time.
If we say we'll come back to Pakistan after J1 and end up doing the waiver, would that affect anything in future regarding visa?
No, because as I said, just say I will follow the law, whatever legal I will do. So one of the option is you come back, or your other option is getting hardship waiver. So both are legal things.
Last two questions, I think, and then we'll be at 100% of our answers this time. I did my graduation in Hausa from Pakistan, but I went to UAE after marriage, so I have a gap of 1 year after house job. And since I can't practice in UAE, so if I do observerships in UAE while taking USMLE step 1, 2, will this still be considered a clinical gap? And what are the cons when applying for the match?
Let me answer that.
Yeah.
No, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. You can just mention it that you were studying for exams, and you can mention that you were doing, rotations or observerships in UAE. Preferably, if you're working in UAE, I would recommend you to do rotations with people who have been trained in US, so MDs ke saath, so that they can give you a letter. That should help you. So it's not as big of a problem as you think it is, as long as you talk about that in your interview. And I answered a lot of questions in the Q&A. They were brief answers too, including all the anonymous ones. If anybody has a follow-up question, they can reach out to me. I'll happily clarify. Go ahead, Sadiq, last question.
The last question, interesting one. My wife almost got done with her fellowship on H1 and she has signed the job at another place who will apply for NIW in coming months. On the other hand, I matched at the program with us who sponsors J1. So I'm going for J1 visa. My question is that if the visa officers ask me about my future plans after residency, how should I approach it, as my wife will have NIW filed by then? I hope my questions make sense.
Yes, I do understand question. Simple answer is whatever legally I will be allowed to do. If I will be allowed to do waiver, I will do waiver. Even if he gets married to a citizen, by that time she might be citizen green card holder, he will still have to apply, follow the two-year rule. So simple answer is that I will come back to home country for 2 years unless I get a hardship waiver, which is both legal things.
Perfect. Lastly, Wasim Raja, do you still have a question? You can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fateh, and all the panelists for doing this. I asked already to ask this question. Thank you for giving time again. Actually, I'm not a match applicant. I've got a fellowship in the US for which they want me to process the J1 visa. And I've got another interview coming up after 2 months. And that program might offer me H1. So I'm just starting the process of J1 now. But if I get a fellowship at another center where they offer the H1, if my J1 is in process or it's already approved, would it make a difference if I apply for H1? I'm in Pakistan right now. My personal preference is definitely H1.
We cannot recommend you that you sign a contract with someone and then you withdraw. Unfortunately, through this panel, we just can't recommend. If you sign a contract with someone, you got to honor that. So.
And you can even do that, right, Fateh bhai?
Do what?
Like once you already have an approved J1, you can apply for H1.
If it is stamped and you enter US, then you will have 2-year rule will apply. If your visa is stamped. Before visa is stamped, that can be changed. You don't go for interview, then it will not apply to you.
Okay. All right, great. Arslan, do you have anything to add?
Everything has been covered. I'm all good. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time in these last few days of Ramadan and Sunday morning. I'm sure everyone has very busy life. Umar Tariq was in Pakistan celebrating wedding of his family. It's still very nice of him to join. And Fateh Bhai Gulrez, they're always there to help you out with almost every questions that you have. The WhatsApp group that we have been that are there, I'm sure most of you are there already. If not, then just reach out to any one of us and then we can add you. The posts are there on YPC Facebook posts. Those are going to be the most, I think, informative and most helpful platforms for the visa questions. So I would strongly recommend you guys do that. And again, we are trying our best to help you out, but this is not a perfect system. We'll still strive for the best. And if you guys have any suggestions, any questions, please always feel free to reach out. Thank you very much, all the panelists.
Siddiqui, one quick question, one quick comment. Anybody who has filled the form has been added to the group. So if you haven't filled the form and you expect to be added to the group, you won't be added. Please fill the form, and then within 48 hours, you will be added to the group. Thank you.
So how they can get the form now?
It's there.
So link. It's the same link. It's the same link. Same form. I haven't closed it yet.
It's on the Facebook page, and I'm page.
Okay, Facebook. Good.
Facebook, WhatsApp. I'll send you the link to the form again. It's
so we can, we can share with other groups because it might be old and hard to find. So we can reshare on all groups. Yeah.
I think it's tagged on it's a pinned post, but I'm not sure.
On the Facebook, okay, good.
So it's there. It's at the top of the Facebook, YPC Facebook. So
just
again,
one comment I would like to make at the end that please do not worry. We try to bring everybody, and we have been successful except 1 or 2 cases. So, and even if your case goes in AP, most likely it will be cleared in 2 to 3 weeks. Unfortunate cases are there, may take long time, but we have good relationship with the Embassy, State Department. We've been able to get it done, but no guarantees. But most of you will come and join on time, but joining late is also okay. So don't get upset. Don't start crying. Don't start getting panicky. The program will wait. They are required to wait for 6 weeks. Sometimes they require for 3 months. So I'm not saying that you should do that, but if it comes to that point, so don't get panicky that all your life is ruined now. It's not going to be ruined.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And then, just be patient. What is this time for you? It will eventually happen. All you got to do is try that. That's what you have been doing. And again, we are always here to help you out. Don't deny, like Gulrez mentioned, don't deny the program too much. Yeah. I mean, you want this, you'll be living with them for next year, 3 years to 6 years, depending on what specialty you are in. And so you want to make them your best friends, and then, be very nice in your communication and be professional. Gulrez, any last comment?
No, Siddiq bhai. Good luck, everyone. It's a taxing process, but it is much smoother than what it was many years ago. So don't worry, and just pray, and inshallah everything will work out.
All right. Good luck, everyone. Thank you very much again.